Hi guys, welcome back to the Home and Homestead. If you're new to the channel, I'm Rebecca. Today we're going to be doing some baking together where we will be making a delicious muffin that you can have. It's a great way to start the morning and it uses rhubarb. And a lot of times you'll have the classic combination of strawberry and rhubarb, but how about trying out a different variety of rhubarb and apple? And you'll still get that sweet and tart in a delicious muffin. So let's head to the kitchen and make some rhubarb apple muffins. So let's get our batter together for our rhubarb apple muffins. So in this large mixing bowl, I have 1.5 cups of flour. That's just an all-purpose flour. To that I'm going to add 1 cup of sugar and 3/4 of a cup of oatmeal, or an old-fashioned oat, or rolled oats it's also called. Next we'll add 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So I'm just going to mix these dry ingredients together. And now we can add our wet ingredient. So I have 3/4 of a cup of sour cream, and a 1/2 cup of a neutral oil, so avocado oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, those all work real well for this. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 2 eggs. Now we're going to mix these wet ingredients into our dry ingredients to make our muffin batter base. Now we can add 2 cups of rhubarb that I've chopped up. You can use fresh or frozen. If you use frozen, I would just recommend thawing that rhubarb overnight in the refrigerator and then draining away any of that liquid that comes off once it's thawed. Then we're going to add about 2 cups of chopped apple. First I'm going to core the apple, then I'll chop it. That ends up being a nice sized apple. I like to use Honeycrisp or Granny Smith. I tend to just leave the skins right on. You can chop the apple to whatever size you would like. I'll mix the 2 cups of rhubarb and 2 cups of apple into this batter. Now we'll get our muffin batter into some muffin pans. I have some silicone muffin pans here. So you don't need to add any muffin liners or anything like that. If your muffin pan or tin requires muffin liners, or you prefer that, just add those little liners in then. I just use a medium-sized scooper. Put this pan aside. And this should make about 2 dozen muffins. And there you go, we have 2 dozen rhubarb apple muffins all ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is put these into the refrigerator for about a 1/2 hour. You could also do this overnight, and that'll just allow that oatmeal inside of the batter to absorb some of that liquid. Then we can get these baked. So while these are resting in the refrigerator for about a 1/2 hour, I'm going to preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Alright, so our rhubarb apple muffins have been resting and chilling in the refrigerator for about a 1/2 hour, and I have the oven preheated to 400 degrees. So now I'm going to add a little topping to this. So I have some sugar in the raw, It's a nice coarse sugar. I'll sprinkle it over the top of all of these muffins. And that'll give it a nice, sweet, crunchy topping once it's baked. You could also add a little cinnamon or cinnamon sugar. So I'll sprinkle some on the top. Just gives the muffin a little something extra. Then we'll bake these for 15 to 20 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clean. So I'll put these in the oven. I'll start at 15 minutes and check them. And then once they're nice and golden brown and cooked through, we'll have a closer look and a taste. All right, our rhubarb apple muffins have finished baking. It took about 18 minutes to get to this point, and the toothpick came out nice and clean from them. So I'll put them onto these cooling racks here and allow them to cool for about a half hour. They have a nice crispy and golden brown topping with that coarse sugar we added and a little cinnamon sugar, and they are just filled with apple and rhubarb. I can't wait to have a taste of these. So let these cool a bit and then we'll come back and have a closer look. All right, here we have our rhubarb apple muffins. I allowed them to cool and I put some on a plate here. These muffins are very moist. They're not overly sweet. You get that really tart flavor from the rhubarb and then that little bit of sweetness from the apple and sugar we put on top, and they're just overflowing with rhubarb and apple pieces. It's a nice moist muffin with a nice soft crumb. So I hope you give this recipe a try using a different combination of sweet and tart to make a muffin using rhubarb. The combination of apple and rhubarb is really delicious. I enjoy using Honeycrisp apples or Granny Smith apples, but you could certainly use whatever apple you have on hand and experiment with that flavor combination as well. This was really quick to put together, and a couple of these for breakfast or a quick snack be a nice sweet tart baked item to enjoy. If you like more inspiration or ideas on baking recipes or other recipes using rhubarb, you can check out a number of videos I have on the topic. And if you're new to the channel or haven't done so yet, I would really appreciate you subscribing. Well, thank you so much for joining me today in the kitchen while we made this homemade rhubarb apple muffin recipe. And I hope you continue watching my channel, The Home and Homestead, for more homemade, homegrown, and home-style inspiration. If you enjoy this or any other video that you watch, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Well, I hope you're having a fantastic day. See you next time. Take care.